Joseph was the great grandson of King David. One morning, this girl minded her own business when suddenly a great warrior of light appeared right in her bedroom.
You don't need to be scared. God is very happy with you. Mary, you're going to have a baby, a little boy. You will call him Jesus. He is God's own son. He is the one who's the rescuer.
Mary looked around. Perhaps the angel was talking to someone else.
But it is too wonderful. How can it be true?
Is anything too wonderful for God?
Alas. So Mary trusted God more than her eyes could see.
I am God's servant. Whatever God says, I will do.
Sure enough, Sure enough, it was just as the angel said. 9 months later, Mary was ready to have her baby. 9 months later.
9 long months.
Long months later, she was ready. The king at the time had decreed that everyone had to travel to their homeland for something. Since Joseph was from Bethlehem, he headed out on their donkeys for Bethlehem. When Mary and Joseph arrived in the little town, they found every room was full and every bed was taken.
Go away.
Where would they stay? Soon Mary would have that baby. They couldn't find anywhere except for an old, tumbled down stable. So they stayed where the cows and donkeys and horses stayed. And there, in the stable, amongst all the chickens, donkeys, and cows, in the quiet of the night, God gave the world his wonderful gift. Mary and Joseph wrapped him up to keep him warm. They made him a soft bed of straw and used animal feedings through his cradle. Oh my gosh, what was the face? And they gazed in wonder at God's great gift, wrapped in his swaddling clothes and lying in a manger. Mary and Joseph named him Jesus, Emmanuel, which means God has come to live with us, because of course he had. The same night, in amongst all the other stars, suddenly a new star appeared. All of the stars in the dark heavens, this one shone clearer. It blazed in the night and made all the other stars look pale around it. God put it where his baby son was born, to be like a spotlight shining on him, lighting up the darkness, shining on him, showing people the way to him. You see, God was like a new daddy. He couldn't keep the news to himself. He had been waiting all these long years for this moment. And now he wanted to tell everyone. But who would God tell first? You would never have guessed. He told the shepherds. In those days, shepherds weren't considered very important. People used to laugh at shepherds and say they were very smelly and called them other rude names, which I can't possibly mention here. Soon, people thought shepherds were nobodies, scruffy old riffraffs. But God must have thought that shepherds were very important, indeed, because they were the ones who he chose to tell the news to first. I'm messing up with that, sorry. That night, some shepherds were out in the open field, warming themselves by the campfire, when suddenly the sheep darted. They were frightened by something. The olive trees rustled. What was that? They turned around, and frightened faces, Standing in front of them is a huge warrior of light, blazing in the
Don't be afraid of me. I've come to bring you happy news for everyone everywhere. Today in David's town in Bethlehem, God's son has been born. Who will see him? He's sleeping in the
Behind Gabriel, they saw a strange glowing cloud. Except it wasn't a cloud, it was angels. The angels were singing beautiful songs, glory to the Lord. To God, fame and honor and all of our hoorays. Then, as quickly as they appeared, all the angels disappeared. The shepherds stamped out their fire left their sheep, and raced down the grassy hills to their racing over there. Through the gates of Bethlehem, down some cobblestone streets, and down some steps, past an inn, around, oh wait, sorry, I'm going too fast. Over there. They're in Bethlehem right now. And until at last they reach tumble down stable. It's pretty tired. Okay. Sorry. The shepherds caught their breath, and then they tiptoed inside and knelt on the dirt floor. They had heard about this promised child, and now he was here. This baby would be the light to the whole world. This baby would help people to see who God was, chasing away the darkness and giving hope to all. This baby was to be the greatest gift ever given, and his name was Jesus. Far away, in the east, 3 wise men saw this very same star. The star that God had put in the sky when Jesus was born, and they knew it was a sign. A baby king had been born, and they had been waiting for this star. They knew it would come, and at last it was here.
He's here! He's here!
At dawn, they packed up their camels and wrapped gifts for the baby. They brought their most precious treasures of all. Some gold, myrrh, and the other stuff. Special, sparkly, lovely smelling, gleaming things, just right for a king. The 3 wise men, actually if you'd met them, you would have thought they were kings because of the way they were dressed and how clever and important looking they were. They set off. They rode their camels across the endless deserts.
You're gonna have to do editing.
Up some steep mountains, down steep valleys, through raging rivers, over grassy plains, night and day and night. For hours turned into days, turned into weeks, that turned into months and months, until at last they reached Bethlehem. The page. Normally, kings were born and raised in beautiful cities, in a palace with royal cribs and fancy clothes. That's probably what the 3 wise men thought they would find, but they were in for a very big surprise. When the wise men arrived, they did not find a palace. There weren't any guards or servants or flags or red carpets or trumpets or anything. Did they get it wrong? Or was this what God meant? Sure enough, in that little house, they found him, the baby king. The 3 men knelt before the king. They took off their rich royal turbans and gleaming golden crowns and bowed their noble heads to the ground and gave him their sparkling treasures. The journey that had begun so many centuries before had led the 3 wise men here, to a little town, to a little house, to a little child, to a king, God, that had promised David all those years before. But this child was a new kind of king. He thought that the Prince of Heaven had become poor. Though he was a mighty God, he had become a helpless baby. This king had come to us defeated the boss. He had come to be a servant, but a servant whose job was to save us. His name is Jesus, and he was their special gift, and he is ours today, our Savior for now and forever, Jesus.